welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm really excited about. It's going to be how I got A's in medical school, how I got onto the dean's list within my first year, and this is going to be like a little update video for my old subscribers because I know you guys are probably wondering like what is going on with this channel, so I'm going to be addressing that. Okay, so first of all I want to apologize so much for not continuing to make videos on homeschooling and A-levels and stuff. Once I started medical school, yeah, I underestimated how much work that was going to be. I didn't really have time for YouTube. I mean, looking back, I probably could have had better time management skills, which I will talk about in this video too. I could have had better time management skills and then maybe had a YouTube channel, but like I got swept away in things. I got swept away in university life and I was actually really enjoying it as well. So yeah, the YouTube channel got a bit ditched, but I am back now and I'm planning on making study videos again. Only thing is I can like barely remember A-levels. It seems like such a long time ago, so I'm gonna have to like refresh myself on what I used to do to study for that, because a lot of my study techniques did change for medical school. Like you can't use the same things that you use for A-levels or undergrad that you do for the MD medical school program. So basically that's what happened to this YouTube channel and why I ditched it, which I feel really bad about. Okay, anyway, and then from there it's been a really long story. So medical school was actually going really well, but I got diagnosed with ADHD, which I didn't know I had, and it explained so much about me. So I got an ADHD diagnosis. I'm also working through childhood trauma, so there's sorry about that. So my reaction to the text. So yeah, there's been a lot going on mental health wise. I've discovered a lot about myself and like I don't know how to describe it, but just like happiness, contentment, mental health. I've just been learning a lot about myself and I have such a desire to share it with you guys about mental health, everything, and I really want to make the world a better place. And I realize now if making A-level videos helped a lot of people, then I want to continue doing that. So yeah, I'm open to whatever you guys would like me to make. And for what I'm doing right now, I finished my last term of medical school in December, and then because of COVID actually really affected my family. I feel like, I don't know why I feel embarrassed, ashamed to say this out loud on the internet, but yeah, we ran out of money and I couldn't pay for the next term 5 of medical school, so I ended up taking a leave of absence, and I've kind of just been working on my mental health and everything, and that's kind of what got me going into this YouTube channel again. I've been making a lot of TikTok videos, so yeah, hopefully I can start medical school again this August if we have enough money. So just waiting on that, but I'm kind of learning to accept what happens. Initially when I found out I couldn't do term 5, I was, looking back, pretty devastated. I felt like I was being left behind from my friends. I just felt like that sense of urgency, like, oh no, I'm being left behind. But I've kind of come to terms with it now, realizing there's no rush. I'm still young, like in the grand scheme of things 6 months doesn't really mean much. So yeah, anyway, that was the random update and side note. So now I'm going to get into the video on how I got A's and made the dean's list in my first year of med school. So it's going to be like kind of a broad overview type video, and I'll go into more specifics later on in this channel, I think, and like depending on what videos you guys request. Okay, my first tip, I feel like it's going to sound so obvious: sleep. Like, can I make this any bigger? Sleep. So many medical students sacrifice their sleep. Not a good idea. So with me, I actually realized looking back, because I kind of did track my sleep throughout this whole experience, I managed to get like a solid 7 to 8 hours every night, even though it was like at the weirdest times, because I have the weirdest circadian rhythm. If you watch my old A-level videos, you know I was up filming at 4 a.m. Nothing's changed on that side, so I was still up at strange hours and whatnot, but I somehow always managed to get enough sleep, and I think that's the only reason I actually did well. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons, because a lot of what we learn is consolidated in deep sleep. In our deep sleep, it's like, how do I explain, the information that makes its way to the hippocampus then gets consolidated into like the cortex of our brain. So we need that deep sleep, it's important, and we need the light sleep too. So yeah, sleep. Even if you're panicked, even if you think like, I'm gonna fail if I don't sleep, it's honestly better to sleep. Like, I know I said this in one of my A-level videos too, but sleep, guys, sleep. Okay, the next one is understanding the concept. Okay, this is so important, and I saw so many students making the mistake of trying to rush through the material and just memorize it all, and in the long run that doesn't really help you out that much. And the thing is, it might work for the term that you're in, or the semester, whatever you want to call it. It might work to cram for that exam and just know the facts like this, but the thing is, long term, you're not going to be able to connect big ideas to each other, and it helps so much more having like the understanding and the concept down, because also you don't have to do as much memorization if you fully understand it, taking that extra time to understand it rather than rushing through and trying to memorize the facts. And I know how hard it is. I got so stressed out in med school. Like, I remember thinking like, I've just got to get this crap into my head, I have no time. And there were moments I just had to memorize pure facts, but for the most part I tried to understand processes that were happening so that when I was doing a practice question or in the exam, I could reason my way through it rather than relying on rote memorization, if that makes sense. So yeah, don't freak out if you're starting medical school and you see other people who are able to memorize things just like this. I'm not one of those people. Oh my, I'm actually really bad at memorizing things. Again, I'm gonna blame that on my ADHD, like poor working memory. But concepts are my thing. So if you can incorporate those facts into concepts, it's gonna help you a lot. The next one is to figure out what kind of learner you are. And I wish I had done this sooner. Well, I mean, I didn't know I had ADHD. So I'm a kinesthetic learner. Like I have to be moving around. Like right now, my legs are bobbing. Like I'm fidgeting. I have fidget toys in front of me that I'm kind of playing with as I'm filming. And when I was younger, I thought there was something wrong with me when I did all of this. And like in medical school, I tried my best to sit still. Like I didn't know what this restless energy was. And now I know it's just my body with restless energy. So now when I'm studying, I allow myself to fidget. I tap my feet a lot. I try my best to like feel the material. Oh wow, that sounded really weird. But even like flashcards, that's also why I like flashcards, because you get to move the flashcard and turn it around and stuff. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, it's going to help you a lot. So yeah, highly recommend figuring out what kind of learner you are. I was a combination of basically everything, but my highest was kinesthetic, and I only found this out this year. I always thought I was a visual learner, but apparently not. So yeah, just figure out what kind of learner you are, and then I guess working with your strengths and your weaknesses. And also if you do take a test to figure out what learner you are, I wouldn't, like, also don't obsess about only studying one kind of way. It's also really good to diversify the ways that you study. So yeah, that leads me on to my next tip, is like diversify your study habits. Because one of the problems I found is, especially in medical school, because of the extreme amount of content, the only way I can like describe how much it was is like A-level biology. There's just so many facts to memorize. It was like that, but times 100,000 million. So for me, I get bored quite easily when I have to do the same repetitive thing over and over again. Like I like novelty things, I like new, I like the feeling of change. So I would kind of change my study habits around, like cyclical. So I would always come back to something again and it would feel like brand new again. So I mean, I used a combination of writing notes. I never actually wrote neat notes because I never really had time to go back and read them. Writing notes in medical school is kind of a waste of time. Notes doesn't really help. But for me, what I did for the note taking was more about like consolidating the information and helping me understand it, and like kind of making patterns between the information. So yeah, I did a combination of note taking. Whiteboarding was amazing. Whiteboarding with different colors, especially for biochemistry, like seeing all the pathways mapped out, biochem, whiteboarding. I did Anki flashcards that helped with my short-term memory problems, and I think it helped a lot with like memorizing those really annoying random facts. Anki, YouTube videos, but like a variety of YouTube channels. I absolutely love Dirty Medicine. Oh my, please go watch Dirty Medicine. They have the most amazing mnemonics. Next one leads me on to is use mnemonics for the random stuff that you have to memorize. So like the side effects to certain drugs, so like your farm lectures, those are really hard to memorize. So look for good mnemonics. Just like go on Google and look up like mnemonic for da-da-da and find something there, because it saves time. It takes time making your own mnemonic, so it's just quicker to find someone else's mnemonic and use that. And then I'm trying to think what other ways I studied. I actually can't remember. Oh, sometimes I'd like walk up and down while reading my notes because I like to get movement. Sometimes walk up and down while doing Anki. Sometimes I'd study in bed. Probably not the best idea, but again, it gave me that variety, which kind of leads me to my next one, is to switch up your environment. Like I needed this a lot. So the brain, like literally the brain gets bored easily, so it's good to like move yourself into a different environment to provide your brain that new stimulation. So yeah, I would study, I guess, in my bed, not always the best idea, at my desk, sometimes on the floor, because like in my mind, I would kind of chop my small room up into like segments, if that makes sense. So like in my mind, if I was sitting in that area of the floor, I'm like, okay, that's a separate area of floor to that area. So like, I don't know how to describe how my head works, but like I would kind of move to the different part of the floor and be like, this is a new area of the room, like let me look around, explore, and get to studying. It was a new area, so it was like enough stimulation for my brain. And like during COVID and lockdown, that was hard. I mean, I even studied in the bathroom at that point. But otherwise, coffee shops, restaurants, if you are able to like deal with outside noise. I'm someone who actually likes the stimulation of being out, so coffee shops, restaurants, libraries, study halls, studying with friends, yeah, as many places as you can think of. Studying at a park, in the park, sometimes greenery, nature can be really nice. Okay, the next one is spaced repetition, and you've probably heard this one a lot on YouTube. I first found this when I was watching Ali Abdaal's channel. This was like way before he even blew up. He made this like really good video on spaced repetition and it got me into it. So basically Anki uses spaced repetition. Basically the concept that if you review something repetitively over time, your brain's going to realize it's important, because if you expose your brain to something enough times, your brain's going to realize, oh, this is important, I need to know it. Rather than looking at it one time, your brain might be like, oh, this is not important, I'm not going to store it. So yeah, sometimes I talk to my brain like that. Anyway, so Anki works with spaced repetition. You could always make your own kind of spaced repetition program. I know some people will use written flashcards and like put them in different piles as like a spaced repetition type thing. That was too much effort for me. I did think of trying that. Actually, I did try it and I was like, nah, too much time. I got too impatient with that. So yeah, spaced repetition is really, really, really important. Okay, the next one is practice questions. Now, I feel kind of like a fake saying this because I actually didn't use that many practice questions in medical school. Just because we had exams like every 3-4 weeks, I didn't really feel the need. But so many med students swear by practice questions, so I'm going to put it in here. And I know when I was doing A-levels, practice questions and past papers helped me so much. I think what happened with med school, you know what, I feel like Cambridge A-levels prepared me so well with like their difficult questions that when I got to med school, I found the questions quite basic. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's hard to describe. So I didn't really feel the need to do that many practice questions. And I actually found this one's really interesting because like this goes against like everyone else almost in medical school. On the exams, leading up to the exams in which I did do practice questions, I actually performed worse. And I was like, how is this possible? And then the exams where I didn't do practice questions, I did a lot better. So, I mean, I don't know if practice questions stressed me out and maybe that's why I did worse, or I just consolidate information in a different way where I don't need practice questions. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, I didn't really need practice questions, but I'm putting it out there because I know it works for a lot of people. It kind of highlights like where you need to go back to study and like your weak areas. Yeah, my next piece of advice I feel like I also wish I'd done sooner is find a mentor, talk to a lecturer, find someone you can talk to for advice, even like an upperclassman or something like that. So in my second year, I found a really great lecturer slash mentor. She's still kind of like a mentor to me, and she really helped me so much. I used to go to her office in like complete panics when I was freaking out and stuff, and she'd calm me down, and she really understood the way that I learned. So yeah, and she gave me a lot of really good advice about scheduling and time management, like specific to me. I feel like I didn't fit a lot of the norms of other medical students, and I think she picked up on that pretty quickly. Like, I'm quite a creative personality, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm not someone who can like follow a rigid structure every day because I get really bored with that. So yeah, finding a mentor, someone who can help, someone you can just talk to and connect with, and someone who's been through the process. So this lecturer also went to this medical school, so she knew the process, she knew it was tough. And that just like, I think it gave me a peace of mind, like knowing, okay, she got through it, she was okay, she said she struggled with this term, I'm probably going to struggle with this term as well, but it's okay in the end. And that gave me a lot of peace of mind. Okay, next really important piece of advice. I wish someone had told me this sooner, is find what works for you. So, when I got to med school, I panicked so bad because left, right, and center, people are like, okay, you have to use this resource. This is the only resource that works. Don't focus on your low yield stuff, do this, do that. And I was like, I was so overwhelmed. So like I said with the, sorry, my voice, like I said with the practice questions, everyone was saying, do practice questions, you have to do practice questions. How can you not do practice questions? So I did them. It didn't work for me. Like a few practice questions a day work for me, but not like the amount which they were saying to do. So everybody works differently. And like the same with Anki and spaced repetition. Anki doesn't work for some people, and that's totally okay. So there is no one right way to do something, and if you're doing something one way and it is working for you fine, and someone else comes along and says do this, you'll do way better, kind of take it with a grain of salt. I mean, try it out, but don't panic that what you're doing is wrong, because nothing about what you're doing is wrong. If you're in medical school, like you've already made it to med school, that's great. If your study methods aren't working, I'd recommend like talking to a learning strategist. Most universities have that, or as I said, talking to a mentor or someone who's been through the process, and just letting yourself experiment with different study methods. Like when I arrived at med school, okay, so within the first week, I realized my old sorry, my voice. I realized my old study methods from A-levels were not going to cut it. Like I realized I could not make that many notes, and I wouldn't have time to make that many notes because the content was so fast and there was so much of it, and you had to grasp content much quicker. So yeah, I realized very soon to like ditch that method of studying, and I saw a lot of other people from undergrad were weren't as willing to ditch their old study methods. And I remember giving advice to some people saying like, be very open to new study methods. And some people try to stick to their old note-taking methods and then it didn't work. So yeah, have a very open mind, and you're gonna feel fear about trying a new study method because the previous study method you've used has worked and it's gotten you to medical school, so you're scared to try something new. But allow yourself to sit with that fear and then try something new anyway, is what I would say. And yeah, if you feel like a certain study method is going to work for you, or you feel like it's the right fit and someone else is saying no, don't do that, don't listen to them. Like, you know inside what works for you. Like with me, I've realized after all this time, I like YouTube videos. I speed them up because I'm impatient. So I like YouTube videos. I actually do like lecture because I get distracted and I have ADHD. I like in-person lecture because it kind of keeps me accountable and it's got that human connection going on, and I'm someone who really needs human connection. I do like Anki, even though it pisses me off sometimes. It's like, it gets really irritating and tiring, but I realized I was doing too many Anki cards and everyone was saying, you know, download the Zanki deck, do the Unking deck, and I tried to do that and I got so overwhelmed. So now I'm realizing I think I'm going to go back to making my own Anki cards and like maybe using Dirty Medicine Anki cards, something like that. Another thing that works for me is sometimes just listening to YouTube videos in the background while I'm chilling, and I also do like to make notes, and everyone in medical school says don't make notes, it's a waste of time. For me, the act of like writing it out and that visceral feeling of writing it out really helps me consolidate. So yeah, and I like whiteboarding. I seem to like a lot of things, and I like fidgeting. So find what works for you. Okay, my next piece of advice, which I think is really hard to take, is like, just don't compare yourself to other people. Now, medical school, I was not prepared when I went into this. Level of competitiveness and like the A-type personalities, oh my, it was such a jump. I remember on my first day, my first day in lecture, it's a massive lecture hall. Probably fit like, I don't know, there are probably 50 people there or whatever, or 100 people, I don't know. I just remember giggling to myself thinking, how did I go from homeschooling, being top of my class, homeschooled, to this, being in a massive lecture hall? Anyway, so it was just like a really weird moment for me, but at the same time I loved it because I love change and I love new things. But yeah, don't compare yourself to others. It's so easy to get caught up in that, and it's so easy to look for external validation from your grades and all these things to keep driving you forward, but it's really got to come from within. And yeah, I feel like I'm going to make a separate video on that because that's a hard one, and I think medicine culture can be really, really toxic, especially now that I've had to take this leave of absence. I can see how much it was affecting me because my personality, I'm not someone who can be like that. I'm just not someone who can be driven by that mean toxic culture. Like, I'm someone who can be quite altruistic at times, and like sometimes I lose the big picture because I'm so like in my own world of like wanting the world to be a utopia and everyone be kind to each other. So it was quite a hard paradox for me to be into, with my own inner world of wanting everything to be good and then seeing what was around me, and it was like such a contrast. But I feel like I'm coming to terms with it slowly. So yeah, along with that, like if you're starting out medical school, share your notes with other people, share resources you find. Like don't hide things from one another. I know people do that. People hide resources from one another because they want to do better than their classmates. Share it, because in the end you're all going to be colleagues one day, and like honestly, what is the point of the competition? Like at the very end of the day, we all want to be doctors to help people, and by being mean to other classmates, we're not helping people, we're like doing the opposite. Like that's mean, that's not nice. So yeah, if I could give one piece of advice to anyone watching this, it's like, please be kind to your fellow classmates. Like, we're all human, we're all scared, we all want to do well, because we all do crave external validation. It's the human nature. And I think, yeah, be kind to each other, work together, learn to collaborate and work together, because these are going to be your people you're working with one day. And you know what, another thing that came to mind recently is that, I know it sounds kind of simple, but I had a realization the other day. You know, as a singular person, you might have big dreams for the world or whatever, but one person can't change the world. But a group of like-minded people with amazing ideas together, now they can change the world. So you got to work with other people. Okay, I think that's it for this video because I feel like I've rambled for quite a bit. I know I have some more tips, but my brain is tired at this point, so I'm gonna go now. Comment down any questions you have below and any other videos you'd like to see on like medical school, med school advice. I will make videos because I'm feeling a lot better and I'm trying to work on my public speaking, hence YouTube, and I'm feeling more confident in myself. I realize my opinions are important. My opinions and my voice do matter. Yeah, I used to have an issue with self-confidence, thinking I can't make YouTube videos, my opinions aren't important, like I sound too stupid for YouTube, and I'm like, you know what, this might help someone, and I realized my videos were helping people, so I'm gonna continue doing it for you guys. And yeah, I'm really excited. And if you're starting medical school soon, I'm really excited for you. Comment down below if you are, and I'll like give more advice, because I miss the days of when I was starting out. Like, oh, it was such a magical and scary time, but like I loved it. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.